Thanks for the subs. Okay, which encounter do you guys want to do next? So the next choice is when you kill Nithendra, you have a choice of which of the 4 bosses you guys want to do next. You have Il'gynoth, the Heart of Corruption. You have Renferal, which is the Druid boss here. Ursoc, or Dragons of Nightmare. You guys can decide which one you'd like to go through next. And then Cenarius and Xavius are the last 2. You have to do those ones in order, but you can complete these ones in any order you'd like. Whatever your guild prefers, whatever they're strong with. If they're really strong on DPS, Ursoc's the easier one as well. Alright, let's do Ursoc, sure. So Ursoc is a really simple encounter, probably one of the simpler ones, especially on normal. Think of Ursoc like Butcher. It's almost exactly like Butcher with a few little tweaks like that. So I'm not going to go through my Mythic strats, Pain Train, and what we're doing that. So yeah, it's sort of like Firelands. You can sort of choose which one you want to go to. Like in Firelands, you could choose the Steering Boss, or Beth Talak, or, you know, or Alis Razor, or whatever. Anyway, so you can choose, and then the last 2 bosses you have to do in order. So yeah, it's pretty much the exact same sort of gating situation. So it has a couple different strats, sorry, not strats, but abilities. One of the more important ones is the charge, and how you position yourselves for the charge. Let me pull up a couple diagrams here for you guys, and how we position ourselves for Ursoc's charge. And of course, I'll link you guys these little pictures. Again, Wowhead has a bunch of really good ones. This is our heroic positioning, and I'll talk about normal and heroic. Basically, what happens is you want to sort of position your raid in a flying V formation, if you guys remember Mighty Ducks. In a Mighty Ducks position like this, where the boss is initially tanked at that blue marker. One set of group is going to be, let's say, the orange marker, and one set of groups will be the star marker, and one group gets charged at a time because of the debuff. So what happens is Ursoc will fixate one player. That player will get charged. Okay, if you are fixated, you need to run as far back as you can. When you get hit, here it does 3 million damage to the target. Sorry, let's go back to smaller difficulties here. There. So Trampling Slam does 1 million damage to you, and the further you are away, the less damage it does to you. Barreling Impact, does also the damage through players, but is 1.5 million, but that damage is reduced by the amount of players that get run over by Ursoc. And if you get run over by Ursoc, you get a debuff called Momentum, and Momentum will increase the amount of subsequent damage you take from the charges, or your group takes from charges, by 500%. So if the same group gets hit by the charges twice, they will die. So the important thing is you're alternating groups back and forth. Yeah, Butcher was a good gear test. Ursoc will be much of the same. That's pretty much it for Ursoc. Like, it's basically left side, right side, left side, right side. You know, if, let's say, you're standing on the left side, and the right side group gets targeted, awesome, you don't have to do anything. Then right side group gets charged, next time it'll be left side group. And just make sure you don't have the momentum debuff when you get hit. So you should be shifting on either left or right legs, and pretty far back on it. All right, so the other one is the Roaring Cacophony, however you pronounce that. It's basically raid-wide damage, and you don't want to be really far away because this is within 25 yards. So it does 3.5 million damage spread evenly between all players. The more players that are alive, the less damage you take. This is a great ability to use your Devotion Auras on, things like that. And then he does an Echoing Discord as well, where the more of these roars he does, the stronger the more they start hitting. So a bit of a soft enrage there, and then his hard enrage is at 5 minutes, and a frenzy at 30%. So at 30%, like Butcher, he attacks a lot faster, does more damage, that kind of stuff. That's typically when you may want to use Heroism for the tanks, for the DPS, as well as the healers. So we'll go through that encounter really quick here. Let me pull this off. That's our little that's a little picture for you guys. There you go. There you go. There. Why do tanks take so much damage? Because they're likely not doing the tank swap correctly. That's why. All right, so we'll go through that one. Let me pull it up here. Twitch. There we go. And this one was at Ursoc 105. Gordon, thanks for subbing. Thanks a ton. All right, Corton. Sorry, you distracted me, Gordon. So we're going to go at Ursoc, which was 105. right around here. Now, what we do on, so what happens on heroic is, so normal is, you know, the base sort of mechanics. On heroic, more mechanics are added, on mythic even more, and it's always more and more damage. On heroic, there'll be an image of Ursoc spawning there. There'll be a big puddle you can't stand in, so the boss has to be dragged. So like in this picture here, oh, wrong picture. So like in the picture that I linked you guys here a second ago, this one here, the boss has to be dragged around. And the way my guild's working with it is we are baiting it. So we are constantly leapfrogging our sides. So because we are dragging the boss counterclockwise, right, to the left side here where the arrows are, the star group will always be getting hit by it. And I know you're getting confused here because the momentum debuff and you can't get hit twice. Well, the groups keep alternating. So the first group will always be the right side. So let's say I'm standing on the left side, I'm orange marker, and I get targeted by the gaze. Well, I have to run over to the right side and make sure that group gets hit. And then the groups are going to switch sides. So you'll see sort of what happens here. I can't remember how we did it on this one. Let's go through it in 1 second. So we had our two groups set up. We're going to pull Ursoc to the wall. And yeah, this is on normal. I don't think we have a heroic. We might have a heroic video. We'll see. All right, give it a sec here. Sparty's talking away. Yeah, show how people show their talents. All right, nice long pull timer, of course. Checking on my phone. All right, so you'll see exactly what happens. So the tanks are going to bring it over to blue marker. There's no real reason to be really far away, so be close to your side. I'm on the left side, and see how we position these things. So the boss gets pulled in. Everybody gets in position. We pull threat there, of course. And I'm on the left side. You want to be on the far left side, as you can. I'm going to readjust myself here. So both groups want to be ideally in those healing range, in those circles. First thing that's going to happen here is a gaze. So watch who it targets. It targets Eyelid. So Eyelid, so this was a normal strat. This was not the heroic strat. So Eyelid runs as far as he can back. You'll see on the minimap in the far right side that he runs really, really far back. It's going to charge through my group, knocks me back, and he goes right back to his spot. So at that point, we're going to readjust. Drop my lights hammer on that boss here, and we're all stacking on the same spots. You can see in the middle of my screen I have the momentum debuff where it says don't soak, so I can't get hit a second time. It's really important that you watch the positioning of your raid here. The Roaring Cacophony is that big raid-wide damage. There. It gets stronger and stronger as it goes on. So the next group, next gaze about to happen here, it targets me. Okay, so targeting me, but I can't get charged through, so I have to go to the opposite side. There, and so the right side group got hit. And now, you just have to be aware, like if you get targeted, you won't get a new debuff stack, right? It's through the people that it passes through. So, again, that's probably the worst potential scenario right there, where my group gets targeted and then I have to run all the way across. So make sure you save your speed burst for when you have that gaze on you, and always assume it's going to target you, right? Don't waste your speed of lights, your divine steeds, your sprints on something else. When you get targeted, that's when you should use it. So again, it's a pretty simple encounter here. Pretty much tank and spank, just going right through it. There's the Roaring Cacophony again. So you're nice and close, making sure people are on their right legs, left and right legs. And next one is going to be the gaze here. So right group was last time, and now see Vic. Vic got targeted. He actually has to run really far, and there's a little arrow that's going to be fixed in the future. Blizzard is actually turning those arrows off, where those arrows, where you're supposed to go in patch 7.1. There's a sub, thank you. There's a fear going off right there. I wonder if I have a heroic video I could show you guys. Maybe I'll show you guys one of the logs and replays from Ursoc. There's the next one, and then we're going to have another charge here in about 5 seconds. So typically he does 2 breaths between, I call them the roars, breaths, whatever, between every gaze. Roche is going to the far right side, and now what's really important is, if you, let's say the right side gets targeted and I'm on the left side, it's really important that you are not being clipped by that charge, because right now I have the momentum debuff. If I get clipped, I will die. So you need to be at max melee range. Always play it safe. There, it charges that way, with a big explosion, and brings him right back. So at this point, the boss has Frenzied. He'll be attacking a lot faster, doing a lot more damage, and this is when we would hero. So you see our heroism going there, or Bloodlust for you Horde. And we keep burning the boss down. It's a lot more damage going out, so you might want to start saving your cooldowns for this one, your devotion auras, everything else. There, we get a sack on him. More heals, more heals. And I mean, these are my favorite kind of encounters because they're really simple and boring. This is just normal for you normal raiders out there. There's Zaranya. Zaranya's trying to decide which way to go. Finally leaps out there. He ran the correct direction, which was left. And the boss comes back, and we kill him. I'll try to pull up one of my... There we go, we killed Ursoc. Thanks for the subs, guys. Thanks a lot. These fights seem so simple when someone explains them, but they're just a cluster in the actual raid. Yeah, and you know what? That's totally normal. That is totally fine. We've done these bosses a bunch of times, and it's a lot easier to explain them. And when you guys see me, it's like, what is this bozo not healing? Why isn't he casting enough heals, right? But when you're in the thick of it, like, it's a lot different, right? Is 5 healers necessary? No. It depends on your raid side, right? Raid size, right? So typically in a 30-person raid, you'll run 5-6 heals. In a 4-person raid, you'll run 4 healers. So again, it depends. For every 5 people, you'll typically run 1 healer in general, right? So we ran whoever showed up. So it's not necessary to have that many healers or that many tanks. On Mythic, you might want to use 3 tanks. On other difficulties, 2 tanks are totally fine. The Wowhead has a great guide. I'm going to pull up the Wowhead guide for you guys really quick here, because their stuff is really good. Let me just find it. Guides, Dungeons and Raids. Where are you, Emerald Nightmare? Legion Dungeon. Dark Art Ticket. Where is their Emerald Nightmare guide? Didn't I just see this somewhere? Oh, there we go, Emerald Nightmare guide, one of the first pictures. So Wowhead has some really good guides here as well. I haven't seen the Icy Veins ones yet. I haven't checked, honestly. So on a fight like Ursoc, and somebody mentioned, there's a lot of tank issues. My tanks are getting trucked. It's because they're not dealing with the debuff appropriately. This is sort of how you have to deal with the debuff with the Overwhelm as well as the Rend Flesh. And it's a step-by-step kind of thing. This is really important for the tanks to know. The tank 1 starts the fight and gains 1 second of Overwhelm. Tank 2 taunts and gains Rend Flesh. Then you taunt back and gain 2nd set of Overwhelm. And then tanks 2's Rend Flesh has fallen off at that point. You can sort of see the duration of those debuffs right here. Sort of draw you guys a picture. Yeah, I don't want to pay $25 a month. So you can sort of see there. This is the Rend Flesh. These are the stacks of Overwhelm here, right? And which tank has it. So this is the reason why your tanks are getting absolutely destroyed. Our tanks had this issue too until they sort of finally figured out what the timings between the taunts were. So the person that asked the question, the Wowhead Ursoc guide is really good as well there. And your damage dealer responsibilities, your healer responsibilities, when to use cooldowns, that kind of stuff. The Roaring Cacophony, again, it gets stronger. And then, when to use Devotion Aura, well, early on, and make sure you have it for the Frenzy phase as well. So that's sort of the tank mechanics with it. Easiest way to know when to tank swap for debuffs is when the Overwhelm tank takes his 2nd Overwhelm stack. Pretty much, right? Like when you have your 2nd stack here, then you swap off. And then you're doing the opposite thing, right? So first tank takes Overwhelm, then there's a Rend Flesh, then there's lots of little taunt swaps in between. And later on, during Mythic, there's more bears spawning. I'm going to pull up my heroic little thing for you guys. Let me find it here. Xavius. Where are you? Xavius Normal. Ursoc. I think it was in July, actually, right? Sorry, guys, 1 sec. There we go. Ursoc Heroic. Okay, so this is we did a combined raid with some of the Zeros to Heroes guys. We only 3 healed this one, so we didn't have enough healers. So it was a rough one. Actually, where's Ursoc? Yeah, we wiped a bunch of times to try different strats. We actually ran 5 healers with this one. But I'll show you the replay. Where are you, replay? On what we had to do here for positioning. So you'll see exactly what happens in terms of positioning, and I'll give you another play-by-play with it. So again, the boss is tanked by the square marker. That's where the tanks are. We all go to our sides, left and right sides. You have to make sure it's a pretty, tight clump. You'll deal with the gaze first. Or he'll going to get knocked back in a second here. First gaze about to happen. He runs off to the far side. So he ran to the left side there, and the left side got charged. And we did it both ways here, so we were cutting the boss both ways. And now the boss is actually going to be so we all clump in together for the heals because he does this big roar. He's not going to charge, so there's no reason to be, spread out again. Stack it for heals, and then we start dragging the boss clockwise. So we started moving him around and around and around because of these big circles that spawn. So when I pulled up, this picture for you guys here, it's opposite. So we tried both counterclockwise and clockwise dragging the boss around because these big circles will spawn under the boss. And you have to keep moving him around because they will just take up the entire, like a big section of the raid. So really important to do that. And yeah, this is a really cool feature of Warcraft logs. I've got a couple of Coach's Corner videos on Warcraft logs and really how to analyze them, how to look at the replays, what people are doing. You can see the debuffs as well on people, right? These guys have momentum. This guy has Overwhelm. Dead Man has Rend Flesh. So you can sort of see them. These are the nightmare images. These are the big things that are spawning from the bear, and they will do additional roars. So you can see here nightmare image number 3. We have to move the boss again because these circles are massive. Like they're massive, massive circles. Anyway, that is much of Ursoc. Did anybody have any Ursoc questions? Yeah, ask me Paladin questions later on, guys. Any other things for what town build I'm using? Just armor me. Let me take a look at the Coach's Corner thing here. How do you manage what side gets charged? So it's random. So if you have them, again, it's pretty much random who gets hit. You just have to know that the alternate side needs to get hit. So I'll draw you a diagram here. This is to Ryan Faz here. So let's say the boss is at blue, right? And you've got your sides here. If I'm at green and he charges me, like let's say the very first fixate comes on me, I'm going to run back as far as I can. Right, as far as I can, he charges through the raid, we collapse back in. Because then he's going to do 2 big roars, and then the next group. So basically everybody in green group now has the momentum debuff, this thing right here. And if we get hit by another charge, we're going to die. So you can see in some of our logs, some of our guys died early because they were just getting clipped by the boss. Now what happens after 2 roars is he does another fixate. He might fixate me. For all I know. I mean, you never know. If he does fixate me, well, I have to realize I can't run through the same group again. I then have to run to the purple side group. And now he has to charge through purple. And now purple side will have the debuff. But green group's debuff will fall off. So you have to alternate it and know sort of what to do there. How is it targeted? Well, it is one of those random things. You just have to know what to do for those ones. Good afternoon, Grapes. Hi. What order should the bosses be done? They can be done in pretty much any order. Nithendra has to be done at the first because you can't get through the other bosses, but then it's ultimately up to you. Ursoc, definitely one of the easier bosses. Illigoth, generally easier too, depending on how your DPS is split. The Druid boss can be a little more complicated. Dragons, I think, are pretty easy as well. I think most guilds will have a lot of difficulty with Ren Feral here for a number of the different mechanics here. Wouldn't that mean you get 2 debuffs? No, because if you get... Good question, Lita. Because if you get fixated, you do not actually get a debuff. So that's what happened in my video here. Central paste bin. That's what happened in my video, if I can find it here, where I got targeted by that debuff. Let's go back here a couple seconds. All right, the focused gaze, yeah. Okay, so focused gaze 1 was on my group. Who's it on? It's on Eyelid, so Eyelid ran back. So watch what happens. That's a great question, Lita. So he ran left. You see the momentum debuff, right? The thing that says don't soak, that is the weak aura that says, hey, your group cannot get hit. Now what happens is in, how many seconds? 20 seconds. Next, in about 5 seconds, see who gets targeted. I have the debuff right now, though, right? So if I get run over, I'm going to die because of the momentum thing. It picks me. So this is where I use my Divine Steed. I run all the way across because the other group has to get hit. There, the further you run, the better. And it did not refresh. You see the don't stack thing, or don't soak? It did not refresh my debuff. So if you get targeted, your debuff will not be refreshed. If that sort of explains it to you. Okay, I have no debuff right now, but it's going to be on the left side anyway because the right side group does have the debuff, the momentum debuff. And yeah, like Doctor says here, you need to run as far as you can to keep the damage low. And there's a couple of those charges. So what happens again is focused gaze is he gazes on somebody, he focuses on you. You can't bubble it, that kind of stuff. He does trampling slam, which basically will kill you if you don't move. You want to run really far away. The further you are away from him when he charges, so the longer the distance, the less damage you take. And the more people that are getting charged through, the less damage they take. So if there's only one person going to get run over, well, they'll take 1.5 million damage, and you'll take the 1 million from Trampling Slam. But if there's 10 people, well, they'll take 150,000, 200,000 damage because it's split between all those guys. And then again, of course, there are weak auras for Ursoc. Do I have mine enabled here? I don't. So I'm going to pull up my weak auras, which are right here. And that's the thing that Midge just linked for you guys. I'll look at Ursoc. I'll click here. In my weak auras, I'm going to copy. I'm going to import. And those are my weak auras for him. The first two are for the tanks. The next one is for the fixate. Hey, there's a fixate on you. The purple one with little skulls, that's the split damage, the big roar he does. And the red circle, red swirl is the, hey, you cannot soak. You cannot get hit by it or you will die. It's super important. So hopefully that answers your questions. Should you save Bloodlust Heroism on Ursoc for the Berserk or use it on pull for max DPS? We've been using it, and our strat is based on using it at the 30% marker because you should gain the full benefit of it because of the 40-second Heroism. You should gain the full benefit, plus it helps your tanks, healers, and of course your DPS as well. Should the bear be charging on the side of the pools that are spawning or where it's empty? So the way we do it, it's a great question. That's for Heroic, again, Heroic and Mythic. For Heroic, let's say, this is our initial spawn, right? So I'm over here by green. What we want to do is, let's say the first charge happens. We always want the charges to happen on the purple side. So I'll give you an example of how it works step by step on Heroic. So the tank is tanking by blue. And let's say I'm standing right here where I'm supposed to be on the left group, but he fixates me. Okay, so because of our strat, we always want to bait them to the right side. We're going to run over here. The right side group will get charged, so they can get passed through here, and then we're going to collapse in right to here for the heals, to the red marker. We get healed up, he does a couple of his roars, and then we're going to start shifting the boss this way. So now the boss will be like this, sort of like this. Oops, sorry, one sec. The boss will be here, like that, right? So now the boss is being shifted away because there's a big purple circle here, and we have to keep moving him away. Okay, well, the purple group got momentum last time. Well, now they're actually going to be switched. So purple group will be here, and green group will be here. But the right side group always has to get hit by that charge. And then it happens again, so, the charge happens. I'm on that, that side group. We get charged here, now we have the debuff, and we collapse back in for heals, for his double roars. And that big pool that spawned also does an additional roar. And then he spawns another big puddle, and we're going to start shifting it over again, and we're going to go like this, and then it'll be purple, or green and purple again. So now purple group will get hit again. So we bait it, so always the right side group gets hit. Make it really easy that way. So I hope that should answer your question. So what we do for Heroic. General questions, Ursoc. So the person being fixated can wipe an entire side if they mess up? Yes. That's correct audio. And, I mean, guilds are going to have to learn, right? Like, well, with Iskar, right? If one person makes a mistake, you're going to wipe, right? That's sort of Mythic Heroic encounters. With this one, though, well, think about how much damage you're taking on normal. So for you normal raiders out there. So momentum, how much damage is it going to do here? Barreling impact, 1.5 million. And the momentum is still 100%. I have a feeling this is going to get reduced at some point. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to get reduced. We'll see. I mean, it might not kill you if you have enough gear on normal, 100%, 5 times. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It may kill you, it may not. I think it will kill you if you get targeted by or get hit by the wrong thing, but you'll learn very quickly, and that's fine. It's okay to wipe. Can you bubble the charge and mitigate it? I don't believe you can. You could take less damage. Yes, I could. The trampling slam here and the barreling impact, I could bubble it to reduce the damage, but not to remove the debuff itself. So the focused gaze. Yeah, hail reload for those weak cores, I know, exactly. Can you go through the tank mechanic again, and does it change in Heroic or Mythic? On Heroic, it stays pretty much the same. On Mythic, I believe it is the same, but there are more bears. I don't really want to get into the Mythic style of things, not because we have super secret strats, but because it doesn't apply to a majority of the viewers. And I'm sure a lot of them would learn, but again, though, the best guide or the best picture for this would be, let me pull this, close this down for a bit here, would be the Wowhead guide. Pull up the Wowhead guide for you under Ursoc and explain how the tank mechanic works one more time. There. So there's the tank chart right here. What happens is you'll get the first overwhelm, right? Whatever tank is tanking gets an overwhelm, right? Which does what? Well, with the overwhelm, they take extra damage and increases damage taken, increased damage taken by Rend Flesh by 150%. So the important thing is, if you have overwhelm, you cannot take Rend Flesh. If you take Rend Flesh, you are going to get destroyed, and that is why tanks are taking so much damage. So you can see here, there's an orange tank and a red tank, right? Orange tank, red tank. Orange tank first takes the overwhelm. Well, then a rend happens, so the orange tank can't take it, so what do? Well, the other tank takes it. So the red tank takes the Rend Flesh, the little claw debuff there. And then the other tank taunts back and gets second stack of overwhelm. And then after the second stack of overwhelm, you do a taunt switch, and the roles are reversed. Now, red tank is taking a stack of overwhelm. Orange tank, well, his debuff expired, his overwhelm stack expired. Basically, it's like a big vulnerability. The overwhelm is, I don't know, like it cuts you open, right? And then the claw does a ton of damage to you, right? Like it's a big infected wound kind of attack. And if you have both together, you're going to take a ton of damage. But you can take them separately, and that's the goal for the tanks, to take them separately there. Hopefully that answers your question there in terms of heroics. Sorry, of the tanking mechanic. Sparty, question, new to raiding, raids always need flasks from alchemy. Generally, you should be using flasks, yes, for sure. And so yeah, the heroic mechanic is the, where is it here? Again, on this one is the Nightmarish Cacophony, where he leaves a big puddle on the ground, and there will be images of bears spawning, and those bears will do additional roars. So you'll have to move the boss. That's the big one.